It says preferring to stream live.
Yep, I
I've
see it.
never streamed directly from well, it's been years since I've
Yeah,
streamed directly from Zoom, so I'm interested to see.
what it
Um,
looks like. We probably have to,
it's,
let me see if it gives me the option to,
oh, it's working. Okay, perfect.
yeah, it is.
All right.
Um,
All right, guys. So we are live. Okay. So Black Speakers Network is in the building. Let me go ahead and pin myself and
oh,
we
that's funny. I
will.
was just doing it. Okay, my bad. Let me stop taking my co-host duty so seriously. I
No,
already
we need you to take it seriously because apparently I don't know what I'm doing. I need to rehire my assistant.
live streaming is my bread and butter.
I see why. I see why now. All right, let's go ahead and get started, guys. So, first of all, welcome everyone. Super excited that you're here, whether you're joining us live or catching us on a replay. If we haven't met yet, my name is Brian Knowles, president and founder here at Black Speakers Network, and you are joining us for one of our incredible expert speaker series. I have Tiffany Bethia here, and we are going to dive into this really, really incredible topic, the number one mistake speakers make that kills their sales. But we're not just going to leave you hanging. Tiffany's also going to show you how to fix it. So really, really looking forward to this conversation. If you're not familiar with Black Speakers Network, we are, of course, here committed to amplifying the voices of Black speakers and helping them build a thriving, profitable speaking business. So whether you're brand new or whether you're returning, super excited that you are here. Our goal is for this session to be somewhat interactive. So if you are joining us live, then you have the benefit of asking some questions of Tiffany. I'm going to be asking her a few questions. This conversation is going to run about 45, 50 minutes. So we'll try to get as many questions in as we can.
Yep.
But I am thrilled. Tiffany and I go way back like car seats. I've personally seen her for real. Like I feel like you're one of those people who have forgotten more about sales and marketing than most people know. I've seen you through your own events, through podcasts. I've seen you stand up multiple programs, products, coaching, and not just that. You also had the fruit on the tree from the hundreds of other entrepreneurs that you've served, myself included. So super excited to have you here. I know you are a founder of it's the Iconic Brand Accelerator, right?
That's correct. The Iconic Brand Accelerator. That's my baby.
She's also really good. Her and Quinn are really good at naming things. Like I really I
Now
think
that's
y'all.
really Quinn's genius. I'll even go to her and be like, sis, what you think about this name?
I agree. Props to Quinn Conyers. So let's go
Definitely.
ahead and dive into this conversation because I think it's going to be great. Tiffany, you're no stranger. You've helped countless women go from 0 to 30K in just a month. I think sometimes when we talk about sales, when we talk about your ability to create revenue, whether it's as a speaker, author, coach, creator, influencer, it sometimes feels very nebulous. And you see some of those numbers as like 30K, you see it for other people and wonder, is that, can I do that? So
Right,
let's go ahead
right.
and just dive into the first question. Like, what is the actual number one mistake? Let's give the answer to the test up front and then work backwards.
Now, okay, can we have some fun? Because I like an interactive session. So I know we got a live audience. So before I give the answer, I'm curious. Can we kind of see what some of the people in the room think it is, Brian? I'm just
Live
curious.
poll. Live poll.
I would love to know before I say what the number one mistake is. Those of you who are here live, I would love drop in the chat. I'm just curious. What do you think the number one mistake is that speakers are making that's preventing them from making the sales that they want? I know we can get at least two people to participate live.
I have my own theories too, because I'm like, man,
And
just
we talk about this, so I'm like,
yeah, I
I'm
don't.
super duper curious to see. I know you guys are typing. Okay. Having a revenue generating offer, not clear on audience and pain points, not being focused. Okay. These are all good answers. Not marketing and pitching enough. We speak to ourselves and not the audience. We not pitching enough. These answers are really, really good. And a couple of you are literally right in the neighborhood. Leaning on social media and email too much without reaching out directly, asking for the sale. Okay. Yeah, we're in the neighborhood. And so my answer is drum roll, please. Building an audience with your niche target clients. Brian, as long as you have known me, you've heard me preach this gospel. I'm gonna say I actually jotted
It's
some
true.
notes down because I wanted to. Number one, you cannot transform lives if they cannot find you. Where are you? We can't see you, right? And so here's what I see. Like so many people that I've worked with have written 5 books. They got 3 courses. They got all of this stuff. And then they're like, hey, help me launch it. And then when I look at the audience that they have not built, I'm like, who are we launching it to? There's a barely an email list, maybe some social media followers. And sometimes it's really not either. And I'm like, hey, I think we skipped a step. So if you're a note taker, actually, I want you to write this down. Before you create your next new offer, build an audience of people who actually want to buy it. Like, as simple as that seems, Brian, like that is the step that people are skipping. And so we get stuck in this creative rut. We create, in the 13 years I've been doing this, I'm telling you, I'm talking to people, they wrote a book, they put it out, 2 people bought it, they're already on the next book. And I'm like, where do you take the time to build it? I am sure that the 2 books you sold was meaningful, but what if it could be 2000? Would it be even more meaningful? And so it's not to, I want to make sure I'm being really clear. This is not to minimize. We all start small. We all do. But at some point, we want to build our impact. We know that there's something amazing we have to say and we want to reach more people. We have to be really diligent to make that a priority. Or, you've heard the phrase, if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one around, I don't know. I forgot the rest of it, but you get
If
right.
nobody's around, doesn't make a sound.
Doesn't make a sound. Who knows? Nobody was there to know.
Well, can you define audience?
Yes.
Because I think that's probably I want to go really deep, but I want to make sure we can kind of go from a place of shared understanding. So when you say
Yeah.
audience, what does that mean for you?
Absolutely. So now I'm going a little bit into my digital marketer bag, and I'm not going to get too. If I nerd out too much, Brian, just come pull me out the bag, okay? But whenever I'm speaking about things like this, I'm always thinking about something that's measurable. Okay. And so when I talk about your audience, I talk about people who have demonstrated that they are interested in your content and your message. And they've typically done one of 2 things. They've opted in to follow you on some platform, or they have signed up for your email list. That is the measurable part. And so even when I work with people on like their launch strategies, I can tell you exactly how many units you're going to sell while looking at your social media and your email. It's not a guess. I can say, okay, you're going to sell about 50 books. Like, right. So how do we know that? We know that based on how many followers and how many email subscribers you have.
You're saying that just based on a number. So if somebody has an email list of, let's say, 1,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
um, you can extract down the number of sales just kind of based on, hey, here's how many people
Absolutely.
is probably going to open the email. Here's how
Yep.
many people are probably even going to receive it. Here's how many
Yep.
people are going to click. And then here's how many people are going to buy.
Exactly. It is there's no guesswork. And I'm a pause. I was about to say something else, but I get excited. I'm a stay in the passenger seat.
Well, no, it's good. I mean, go wherever the spirit moves you. I'm not here to censor. I'm here to, I'm like a sales doula or money doula,
I
I
really
guess.
like that.
Trademark. None of y'all don't take that, John. Out of mine. You heard it here first. It's
Well,
we
because
was
here's
all
what
in
I
the
was going
room.
to say, and then I was going to come off of it. You can sense my passion for this because I just feel like there's so much either bad information, misinformation, or just not enough information in the market. And sometimes I think people do that on purpose to make people have to buy their thing because they just don't know, right? But if your marketing plan, if your launch plan does not have solid numbers, it's not complete. And I see people spend so much time on colors and it's pretty website and all this stuff and ain't got a number in sight. And I'm like, this is not a flop. This is not a solid plan. We need to, like, when we put together a solid launch plan, we should be able to say exactly how many. This is about how many people should be able to see this. This is how many people should click. This is how many people should opt in. This is how many sales you should make. Boom. Like, that is how detailed your plan needs to be. And since I'm amongst family, can I just, I feel like I can be really, I feel
For
like I can
sure.
be myself,
For sure.
especially as I work with my Black and Brown sisters. When I'm in different communities and different spaces, I'm hearing some slightly different conversations, if I'm honest, right? But in our spaces, and I think it's a gift and a curse, it's the intuitive, it's the creative, it's the sensing, which is great, but I don't really be seeing a whole lot of numbers on the board. Like, boom, we plan to make this many units. This was our cost per acquisition. Like, sometimes we're just not having that conversation, and it's keeping us from having sustainable success, because you had 5 figures this month and the next month it was crickets. Whereas if you had a sustainable plan, then you could, that success could be sustainable month after month.
So how many? So when you work with clients, by the way, give us a profile of like typically, because I know you work with a lot of Christian led women entrepreneurs is kind of like your vein, but you work
And a
with
few 5-star
everybody.
men, because I see the men in here. I get this question a lot, primarily from LinkedIn. They'll shoot me an inbox and say, "Well, I see that you work with women, but do you work with men too?" And I'm like, "Sure. If you're special enough, come on in." So, but yes, the clients I work with are typically, faith-based clients who their faith also guides how they move and how they are building. They are typically a coach, an author, or a speaker that has some message of transformation that they want to share with the world. And they want to package that up in an offer, some service, coaching, consulting, speaking, or even a book or an event. And so we package that up and we launch it. I always say, whatever gift God has given you, you, just like any other gift that you would give away, you have to package it first before you give it away. And I'm the one that helps you package it before you take it to the marketplace. That's me in
I,
a nutshell.
I like that. So Dr. Span says measurable people who are interested, like signing up for your email list that shows they are interested. A solid launch has to be very detailed. Yeah, I agree. I think okay, so when I think about audience, right? So you have, of course, these different channels.
Yeah.
So you have your email list, which for us is kind of like the biggest, still to this day, people say email is dead, whatever,
It's your
whatever, but it's like
ATM.
that's the biggest converter. But you
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
have these other audience pockets too. And so I
yeah,
feel like we all have an audience, but
yeah,
they're like decentralized across these different platforms. And
sure.
ideally, I guess we want to kind of get them all together. So when you think audience, is
Mhm.
there like a value that you assign? So like, let's say I have 20,000 followers on Instagram, but I have an email list with 500 people. Maybe I got a Facebook group with, 1,200 people. I got,
Yeah.
600 followers on X. I got 2 followers on Snapchat. That's a real stat, by the way. So how do you kind of consolidate these audiences to make them actionable from like a marketing perspective?
Yeah. So I'm trying to
Or,
figure out
or do you even need to consolidate them?
well, so no, this is, yeah, it's not about necessarily consolidation, but it's about, okay, so here's a word that we're really talking about, right? And it's traffic. And here's the thing, that's not just a digital thing. If you had a brick and mortar store, you would need foot traffic, right? You need people walking by the store. Well, online, you need foot traffic. You need people viewing your site, right? They're not physically walking by. So what you're really describing and what I hear you talking about, Brian, is traffic. And so now I think about, there's different types of traffic. There are platforms that there's platforms you own, and then there's platforms that you don't own. And so the email list is important because you own that. And listen, we have seen Facebook shut down for a day or two, Instagram shut down. If Mark Zuckerberg decided today that he just wanted to be petty and shut it all down, a lot of people would no longer have a business because they don't have a way to keep building relationship with their audience. What happens if YouTube shuts down tomorrow? Like, so the idea is, yes, social media is great, but to me, I use the analogy of like dating, because marketing is very much like relationship building, right? if you they call it online dating, you might meet on the app, but you don't date on the app, right? I'm
Yeah,
making it
it's
practical.
online meeting.
You meet online, but at
Yeah.
some point you got to get together, go to cheesecake, or wherever you want to go. So it's the same thing with social media. The idea is I want to meet you on Facebook, LinkedIn, or wherever, but I don't own that space. I got to get your number. I need to get your email address or your contact information in a space that I own, which is my email list. And now I can continue building relationship with you. And the data shows us that when we talk a lot about like all the money we made online, but the reality is, yeah, we posted it on social media, but the sales primarily came from email. And I don't think we always say that as loud as it needs to be said. Does that make sense?
So you're really it does. So you're really social media, you're not often directly converting from that audience. You're
No,
really it's really just kind of the megaphone. It's serving as a
absolutely.
magnet, let people
Yes.
know awareness, bring
Yes.
people into your ecosystem, and now you
Yep.
have the opportunity to maybe sell them something down the line
It's
if
the
they have
dating
a
app.
problem.
Let's meet here.
Right.
That's really what it is, but it's not where the deep nurture is happening. And the nurture and conversion is typically happening in spaces like email, maybe Facebook group. That is definitely a place of nurture. But I'll say for me personally, in my marketing numbers and when I'm tracking monthly, I don't really care as much about my Facebook. Like I don't really necessarily care as much about my follower count. I care about my email. That's the number I'm watching. How many people got on my email list this week?
I agree. I think what's interesting now is that so social media used to be kind of these like static platforms, and now I feel like things have continued to evolve. I heard Gary
Yeah.
Vee saying the other day that they may actually get rid of. Don't you know how to? First of all, this is the thing with social media. These platforms, to your point, we don't own them, and so I don't see the business case necessarily that they would shut down per se.
Mhm.
But what I
Right.
do see is that every single day the rules of engagement change. So what
Oh
got
yeah.
you traction or traffic, to use your
Yep.
word, yesterday may not necessarily get you traffic tomorrow.
Mhm.
Um, and this is constantly calibration as they release new products, new features. For one
Yep.
day they're pushing short form, now it's long form, and so all
Exactly.
the rules consistently change. And
Yep.
so what you want to just do is have a monicum of control over your ability to bring in when you're ready to launch an event, launch a
Yeah.
product. You don't want to be at the 100. We're all kind of at the mercy of social
Uh-huh.
media to an extent, but you
Right.
don't want it to be like your Achilles heel. Like if social is down,
Exactly.
or if it's not, you're not getting the penetration that you want, because these companies are trying to make
Right.
money too, right?
Absolutely. And big companies who are spending millions of dollars in ads. And so now we're fighting, just to be seen in the algorithm against them. And so, yes, everything you're saying, yes, absolutely.
So what do you do? So for the people who have, and actually this is a good thought experiment, if you don't mind sharing, um, or actually could we do like an experiment with the people that are live now just to get a sense of, well, actually, before we do that, I still
Uh-huh.
want to drill in on this thing of audience, and then I want to do an
Okay.
experiment. So with
Okay.
audience, what differentiates like a list from like what do you consider like an audience? Because we just did this whole cleanup at Black Speakers Network where
Hmm.
we had somewhere, in the neighborhood, we had upwards of 15,000 contacts
Hmm.
on one specific list, and then we have lists
Okay.
that are segmented out. But
Yeah.
15,000 people were not opening our emails. And so, from a
Right.
reputation perspective, we had
Yeah.
to purge some of that out
Yeah.
because we're paying, Active Campaign, MailChimp, Constant Contact, they don't charge per, they charge per active contact. So if you have
Hmm.
an email on your list,
Yep.
like whether they're opening or not, you're technically paying for that lead. So,
For
like in your
sure.
mind, what do you consider like audience versus just people who are followers or on your list?
Well, yeah, no, I think what you're talking about is the number of people who are engaged, which is
Yes.
different, but they would still be considered. So for example, if I wanted to do an ad, I could reach them to warm them back up because they are my followers, right? So I would still say they are in your audience. They just may not be active and there's things you can do to like warm them back up. I don't want to get too deep into the techie weeds of that. I think I want to stay a little more high level because here's what I know. There's people on this on this broadcast that's probably not even growing their email list weekly. So I don't even want to get deep into tags and segmentation and engagement. If you are actively growing your email list every week, I want you to put yes in the chat. If you are not doing that, I want you to put no in the chat.
That's a great question. So that's good to know. And you're right, because I can go down like,
Well, I
how do you
know.
like? What about the meta tags? Okay,
I
so
know who's in the room. That's why I'm like, See, exactly. We got people who they're like meta tags, child. I'm not even growing my email list every week. What are you talking about? So exactly, not every week. See, and that's who I want to talk to. I want to talk to folks who are not even doing that yet, because what I know is that while your business is probably doing great, you could probably be doing double what you are doing from that one simple thing.
for the people that do have email lists that are on, like Carla, I know you mentioned you did. Taryn, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. It looks like you have an email list. Could you all, for those of you who have an email list, could you just put like roughly how many people you have if you're willing to share? So is it 100, 250, 500, 1,000, 10,000, just like the whole number that it boils up to? I'm just interested to see. So Jasmine's 600, Daryl 700, 10,000. Call me after this. What you doing? That's awesome.
I'm real good.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Roderick, of course, 10,000. Cool, cool. Elizabeth. Oh, hey, Dr. Carter. I know he's on here. 500, 150. Okay. And so
Mm-hmm.
what is this? So when somebody comes to you, can we
Mm-hmm.
take some of these examples and just kind of ping them out? So like maybe let's start with the person that has zero, and then let's
Mm-hmm.
start with the people that have like a couple hundred, and then
They in
let's
the same bracket. That's the same bracket.
okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
What
I
are the
would
brackets
consider
here?
that as to say anything under about 1,000, I would consider them all in one group.
I like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the next level?
Probably somewhere around 1,000 to 3,000, maybe 3 to 5, 5 to 9. Once you hit 10, now we're having some different conversations.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk through each of those. So like if somebody comes to you and they're under that 1,000 threshold,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the conversations you're having with that cohort?
So just little talking points I wrote down. We talked about you need to build an audience. Here's the second thing that I would say. You need a market disrupting message. You need a market disrupting message. There's a lot of noise in the marketplace. And hey, guess what? That's okay, because there's still people who need to hear what you have to say. But in one of my social media classes I teach, I call it disrupt their scroll, meaning that what we know from the data is people are typically just doing this. You need a message that makes them stop and go, oh, let me read. Let me not just scroll past this one. What are you saying? How are you disrupting what they know about whatever you talk about, whether it's marriage, money, business, finance, and motivation? What are you saying that's making them go, oh, shoot, okay. I never thought about that. Let me pay attention to that. Most of the people that I talk to do not have a clear market disrupting message.
And so that would be like Southwest Airlines bags fly free.
Exactly, which sadly that's gone, but
It's over.
yes, that would be it. That's correct.
You
I had
see
a, oh, go ahead.
Frontier jumped on yesterday. It was like, hey, we can give you one bag for free, and people are like, nah, we all right.
Nah, we were good. Y'all messed up the offer. That's a whole nother. They don't.
That's a different massacre.
Because there was some serious market research that was skipped there. Like that was just not a good move. But anyway.
We can be better operators than the Fortune 500s. That's cool.
Yeah,
So when you
yeah,
say this disrupting message, so I'm thinking like things like, something that's going to help you stand out. So sometimes you could be like contrarian. So it's like everybody's going this way, you're going this way, or
exactly.
have a unique take. So everybody's talking about this one particular issue, but you're going deep into something, whereas everybody else is going to surface. So there's all these different ways that you can be disruptive in your messaging, right?
Yeah. I had a client I was working with. She is a she's a coach for Christian women who are looking to date again and jump back out there. And so it was kind of fun, working on her marketing messaging. And so we were sitting down saying, let's talk about like what tell me what your audience is thinking and feeling, right? They're frustrated because they want to date and they feel like the options are slim and so we put all this on the table.
That
And I
is
said,
good.
you know what I hear? These women are complaining because there's pee in the dating pool. But once we really evaluate it, sis, you are the pee. You are the P because you're inconsistent. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. We ran down a list of what's happening in her audience, and that was her disruptive market messaging. You think it's P in the dating pool, but it's you're the P. And now that sounds like abrasive, but the purpose is to get the attention of her audience and to catch them off guard to make them realize, oh, snap, it's me. Like, and not from a place of like judgment, but to help them to shock them into the solution to their own problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, if you told me I was a P, I'll be shocked and ready to make some changes. So yeah, that does make sense to me. I don't know about because yeah, it's like okay, yeah, and that's the benefit. You're talking about this is one-on-one coaching. You're having these
Yes,
conversations, right?
right.
Okay. Yeah, so this is the environment. That's the benefit of one-on-one coaches.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yo,
Yeah.
I'm hiring you to tell me the stuff that either I can't see about myself or
Yes.
maybe I don't want to fully embrace about myself yet,
Yep.
so that I can move forward and serve my audience. So
Exactly.
you gotta um, that's like the Kendrick Lamar, like be humble, sit down, be humble. Sit.
Yeah.
Do you okay?
So
So
when you
what's your
think
next thing?
about like disruptive marketing messaging, I want everybody here to think about like what is it that your audience how they want to move to a specific solution and you help them get there. But um what do they not know? What are they thinking that's wrong? What do they just plain old not know? How can you be the disruptor to what they are currently thinking so you can move them in the direction of what they should be thinking?
I like that. Okay. And then and you're helping craft that messaging.
Absolutely. Because that's the foundation of everything. Your social media should be, your website, everything should be hinged on what that message is.
Yeah, I think that's really good. So right now what we're talking about is so I would assume most speakers have so there's like levels, right? So like the top level is kind of like what's your I'll just call it platform. So like what is your so of course you have an audience that you're called to serve. You're
Yes.
speaking on, let's say you're like a leadership speaker,
Hmm.
but maybe you're a leadership speaker for corporate executives. And so
Hmm.
somewhere there's some sort of underlying belief, ethos. You're hopefully solving like a very specific, like you can't be a leadership speaker going in to solve leadership. Like that's not a real problem.
Right.
Like leadership, you could be a leadership speaker that focuses on helping executives manage across difference. You could
Hmm.
be one that's focused on, you know, getting to your next promotion, you know,
Right.
overcoming imposter syndrome, like whatever the thing is. You kind of have your platform and then there's specific messaging within that platform, and then I feel like there's a opportunity to kind of once you know who you're talking to, what you're talking about, and drilling down to that specific thing, then there's different threads you could pull on. You may not, as a speaker, necessarily know which thread is going to resonate the most with your audience, but the beautiful part about social media is that you can essentially put this content out for free and see what people gravitate toward, and the message that people kind of latch onto are those the
Yeah.
ones we should be making content around or
Exactly.
expanded content around or
Yep.
products.
Exactly. Absolutely. I'm sorry. I know I cut out for just a little bit, but no,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing with even crafting your messaging is really testing out, seeing what resonates, seeing, how you can shape it, what things that you are saying are really, really striking a chord with your audience and knowing that, okay, I need to drill deeper there, but also recognizing, okay, this is really going to be the entry point to me helping them solve the problem, whether it's an event that you want to do or a book or a course or whatever that is.
Yeah, I like that approach a lot better because I think sometimes as speakers we kind of get this it it's we're there's this tension between creating things in a silo by ourselves. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go create a keynote program. I'll create a new signature talk, or I'm going to
Yep.
create a new product or book. And we have an idea of what some of our pain points that our audience is experiencing, but I think having the ability to have sessions like this, to put out content where people can comment.
Mhm.
A lot of people go live. Do you still go live, Tiffany? You go live a
Every
lot, right?
week,
Yeah, you go
every
live.
single week. I'm live every Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
How do you is live a good feedback mechanism for you to build out? Like, is that like a real like custom? Do you get really good consumer feedback data when you're going live to be able to inform your programs?
I would say yes, but that's not the reason I go live. I think I really love the live engagement. Of course, the data shows we know that most people watch the replay. So even in my approach to going live, I have crafted it very much for the replay viewer as well, because I know most of them will be the replay viewers. But those who do watch live, the engagement that I get, seeing where it strikes a chord and what sticks out with them definitely helps me as I'm crafting like what's coming next.
Well, going live helps to build your audience too. Yeah.
Well, it does, because people share it and I think it depends. Like I said, that's not my reason for going live, but I think if you leverage that, it can. But here's one thing I want to say to what you're speaking to. I want y'all to write this down. I'm about to give y'all a literal $1 million tip that I learned. You want to pull your messaging from your market and not your mind. And that's what I hear you saying when you're talking about creating in silos. We've all made this mistake. I did it early in my business too, where I would create something, haven't talked to my audience at all, polled them, asked them nothing. I just know what it needs to be. I'm gonna write this thing, I'm gonna create this thing. And then you realize, like in the sales, that maybe this wasn't the best approach. So I have learned that let me go to my audience. They will tell me not only about like offer creation, but even in terms of marketing and what to say, they literally will give you the words. And so one of the things I teach my clients how to do is to like, where and how do I get that messaging from my market? Because once I got those words and phrases, now I'm just going to use those back. And that is what makes your marketing a lot more effective, when you don't just make up what you think they want to hear, but really, Brian, every time I have done a focus group. I had the chance to work on Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child when she launched her first course. I was over like the copy and that strategy, all the marketing messaging. And so I was like, celebrity and all, I'm going to follow the process. So I did a focus group, right? And every time I've done a focus group and I went in with a preconceived, here's what I think they will think about the messaging, it's always another way. You don't know your audience as well as you think you do, which is why you have to connect with them. You have to poll them. You have to talk to them. You have to ask them. Because if you just create a whole sales page and messaging and you never talk to them, it may perform, but it won't perform as well as if you had gotten the messaging directly from them.
Let me find out you did the rollout for the Children of Destiny. Let me find out you were let me find out you the brand strategist behind the millennium the new Millennium Tour. Like,
You are so crazy.
yo, but this is real. So okay, so we kind of talk about that first rung. What about the
Yeah.
next rung up? So like people that are 0 to 1,000, what if people are coming in
Well, can I
like,
do it a
okay,
different way? Because I don't think it's the numbers that matter. Can I
yeah,
just,
go. Just
okay.
what
So
matters?
I wrote it down in more of a roadmap, like my talking point. So the first one was to get you to realize you need to build an audience. I think you believe me. So the second
Yes.
thing I said was you need a market disrupting message.
Yes.
After that, you need some type of signature content to build authority. Well, what do you mean by signature content, Tiffany? I mean, you need a podcast, a live stream, a show, some place where they know this is where I can meet this person at this day and this time to gain their wisdom. So not necessarily something that's like sporadic. Those things are great too for just nurture and connection. And I'll go live randomly while I'm doing my makeup. That's fine for like building relationship. But every single Monday, sleepy and all, I'm live, right? That is the time and the place where people know to look for me. Even if they are coming for the replay, they know she was live this morning and they're coming to look for it. That is, you need some place where you can express your thought leadership. And this is really big as a speaker because people are bringing you in for your voice on a specific topic. How do we know that you are the expert on that? We need a place where you have bingeable content that we can just go consume and hear. I have always gotten more speaking engagements that way. I never post like I'm available to speak, but people know why, because I'm speaking. No, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, no, I know. I know. It's the shameless, like, hey, I keynote.
I'm a, listen. It's like, well, I'm a speaker. Well, we'll know that you're a speaker. Dot dot dot. When you speak.
Show me, don't tell me.
Show me, don't tell me. Where can I go binge and hear your thought process and say, ooh, they would be perfect for this event? Your flyer is not going to tell me that.
So would you call this again a signature platform?
Signature content.
Signature content. Okay. I
Yep.
kind of feel like signature platform in my mind, it maybe is not exactly the way you're saying it, but I think I like the idea of having a place. You need to give your audience an idea of like what to expect. It's just like Chick-fil-A. Like nobody goes to Chick-fil-A on Sunday. Well, I still do because of muscle memory, but like generally speaking, like we open 7 days a week. We're open
Uh-huh.
from 7 to 10,
Yep.
you know, and we're closed on Sundays. So when you can come in and get that service. And I think the
Yeah.
same thing is true when you're building a service business. And sometimes we may not just think about like our hours of accessibility in the same
Yeah.
way because we
Yeah.
are individual content creators, but people still have an expectation of when they can interact, and you get to define that, which is, I think, the great part.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. No, you hit the nail on the head. And it's important because for those of us who are selling information, the biggest part that they are buying is your thought leadership, your approach to whatever it is. And so we need a place that we can really go deep and understand that. And especially for depending on the price point, depending on like what we're talking about before we bring you in for a $10,000 keynote, we need a place that we can really, really go look up and see and say, okay, yeah, this is the person for that.
This is a great conversation. I think one of the things in any program, there's always a level of consumer education. You got to kind of teach people how to consume what you do. And same is true with Black Speakers Network. I think sometimes people come in and they're looking for us, rightfully so. Like our goal is to be a community, a place where you can come get access to information, resources, and community.
Yeah.
But BSN isn't going to fill your speaking calendar. We're meant to be a tool. It's like a resource. It's kind of like having like AAA, or maybe not that passive, but something where it's like I'm here to support and assist, but
Yeah.
100% of your speaking, like the vast majority of your speaking opportunities come from other speaking engagement. It comes from referral, it
Absolutely.
comes from networking, it comes
Yep.
from places that you can't necessarily target. You kind of have to cast a wide net, spread the seeds out, and then they germinate where they go. Is that kind of how you think about it?
Oh, absolutely. And it's it's why I know this word is probably a bit overused, but it's about visibility. I've noticed in my own business that in times where maybe I was on sabbatical or just not, sharing my voice as much, I wasn't getting the invitations. But as soon as I kind of flicked the switch and began to share and put myself out there, the opportunities immediately came. I've never had to, and y'all hear my heart if you're new to me, like I'm not, but I've never had to like, hey, I'm a speaker, book me. I've never had to do that. Why? Because you see me speaking. You're hearing my voice constantly. And so literally, even speaking engagements that I booked more recently, they were saying to themselves, like, yeah, I was planning the event and I was like, I just heard your voice. Well, of course you did, because it's out there a lot. If I wasn't putting myself out there, it might have been more difficult for me to be top of mind as you were thinking about whose voice will work well in this space. And so it really is about like, how do they say it? Like being top of mind, like being when people are thinking about whatever subject you talk about, we want have enough content out there that keeps you visible and present and top of mind for the decision makers and the people that you want thinking about you.
Mm, that's a bar. That's a bar. Um, Man, that's a bar. I think I'm gonna get there's this YouTube creator. His name is Screwface. He does all these like reactions, but he has these pillows.
Uh-huh.
He's a hip hop, reactor. So he
Okay.
has these pillows called It's a Bar. And like every
Uh-huh.
time somebody says something real good, he like punches the pillow. I think I'm gonna get one of those. Next time we do it, I'm gonna have a It's a Bar pillow. I'll
You
be
had to
like,
send me one of his videos because now I have to see that.
oh my God, he's so funny. Especially
You
a whole
watch it,
Kim.
I'm sure it is. I know your style of humor.
Yeah, yeah. I like to be entertained. Are we not entertained? I'm like, I'm very entertained. YouTube is like my number one streaming. Like, I don't even
Oh yeah,
like
me
I have
too.
YouTube and Netflix. That's it.
Yeah,
And
facts.
YouTube is
Yeah,
more.
I live on YouTube.
Live on YouTube. Okay,
Yeah.
guys, if you have any questions, we're about to wrap up the conversation. So if you're here live, by the way, if you're just joining, thank you for joining this conversation. I'm here with Tiffany Bethia. My name is Brian Knowles. Black Speakers Network is in the building. We're talking about the number one mistake that kills sales for speakers. And specifically, Tiffany gave it to us straight up. We don't have an audience, right? We try to, launch stuff into the world that we're solving problems sometimes that people didn't ask for. And I think that's if there's an opportunity to fix that, that's what we want to do here and make sure that folks are essentially creating products and services. I think particularly in this climate right now, because I don't know if this is well, Tiffany and I, we live in the same city, so I kind of have a sense of what's happening in your neck of the woods because it's my
Yes,
neck of
we
the
do.
woods. But if you're in the United States, stuff is expensive right now. Consumers are making really big choice. This isn't like the golden era of like remember back in like 2017, 2018, people were signing up for like four-figure courses, going on like five-figure retreats. Like money was just flowing. There was really
Absolutely.
no scrutiny. And now people are like, not only am I not buying this other
Hmm.
course, like
Hmm.
I'm not even what like they're starting to tune out. So I think having an audience that already knows what you're about starts to build trust, understand who
Yeah.
you are, gives you the ability to cut through the noise.
Hmm.
And you do also have other, because within your audience, you also have, right, the folks who are kind of like they like just found out who you are and coming
Yep.
to test you out. I'm sure we have some
Oh,
people on this
absolutely.
video. They're like, what is BSN? I never heard of Tiffany, never heard of Brian, have no
Hmm.
idea what they're talking about. I'm gonna give them a benefit of the doubt. Then you have the next group of people who are like, yeah, I went to the last couple sessions Tiffany did. It's good. I've been to some things. I'm hanging out. Great. Then you got
Yeah.
your fans, and then you got like super
The
advocate.
raving fan. Yeah.
You better not look at Tiffany wrong, or we on you. So, and that's
Yeah,
like
that's
that
a
top
great
10%,
range.
right?
Absolutely.
So I think it's powerful. I think sometimes we think that we need millions. Like we get obsessed with like the Gary V's and the Mr.
Yes.
Beast of the world, and it's kind of like we're chasing that. But like you
Yeah.
can build an incredible life with an email list of less than how many would you say?
So there's this whole like breakdown that was done recently. Like, if you just had 1,000 people on your email list, of how you could sell them one offer, and from that offer then you could position some of them for the next up. Like, you can make great money. Now, am I saying I only want you to aim for that? No, but I'm glad you said that, Brian, because to your point, sometimes we get so obsessed with, I gotta have this many followers, I gotta have that, and you can really build a great, healthy, sustainable business, or at least get started with way smaller numbers than you think. And so I am glad that you said that. Like, and here's the thing. I've rebranded. Many of us have rebranded. When I rebranded, I started all over back at scratch, right? And so it's very humbling, like having built communities of over 20 and 30,000. And then I was like, oh, I got 100 people, right? It was like so humbling. But what I would say is don't despise the small beginnings, and really appreciate those smaller, intimate, like the number may not be huge, but every single number, every person that's on your email list, you got 50. Somebody in here said they had 50 people on your email list. That's 50 people that believe in you, that's interested in what you like. Appreciate them and steward them well, because then the 50 turns into 500, turns into 5,000. And it just, sometimes I feel like we wait to be excellent and to really serve value until we have the higher number. But I think doing the inverse is more powerful in your business. I've seen the numbers balloon when I take care of the small number, and then 100 people just go tell 2 people what happened. What happens when so be excellent, regardless of what number you have. If you don't email the 150 people, you're not going to email the 15,000. Like, so steward the ones you have really well.
Where's my bar pillow? I'm gonna go order that.
It's the invisible pillow. It's killing me.
Where's my wallet? Okay. Here's my last thing I just want to bring up. When people, okay, so sometimes it can feel like, how do you measure success in this way, especially early on? So like, let's say when you are rebuilding, right? Because sometimes you're putting stuff out in the world and you don't really get a lot of feedback. Like, you may send emails and you can look at the analytics, but it's not like people are emailing you back like, great email, Tiffany. That was a great insight. You know, can't wait
I
to
have people on my email list who will every single time. I'm like, oh, bless their hearts. So some people will, but I got your point.
yeah, but those are the super fans probably, right?
Yeah, right.
Or the people that are just I don't want to. My point is, you're not always going to get like a lot of feedback. So
Sure. Brian, can you hear me? Because I can't hear you. For some reason, technology is.
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Can you hear Brian?
I can't hear Brian.
You can't hear Brian either. Okay.
No, I can't.
I can hear both of you now.
You can hear. Somebody can hear both?
I can't hear
Yes.
both.
Okay.
I can only hear Tiffany.
Well,
Okay,
Brian
gotcha.
just went out again.
Okay, we're gonna get, listen, I love this because this is real and live and on the spot. This is just how it goes.
no,
Oh, there we go. I can hear you now. Say something, Brian.
I know what I did. My bad.
Okay. No, I can hear you.
You could hear me. I switched. This is amazing. Like, I swear, I should not be allowed to like run another Zoom for the rest of the year. Okay. Here's I don't even remember.
You were asking me about how to measure success, and I already know how I want to answer that.
Go for it. Yep.
So here's what I would say. I think it starts by knowing where you are in your business. So again, if you are at the stage where I don't even have 1,000, people on my email list, I don't even have, like, I'm just trying to really get my voice out there. To me, the measure of success is consistency. I listen to one of the people who I love so much is Marie Forleo. Brian, you know Marie Forleo? Have you heard me talk about her? Have you heard me talk about Marie?
I'm laughing because I have like a little crush on her, but
I get it. She's dope.
She's really
she's super dope.
No, she's only on my bedroom wall, no problem. But yeah, yeah. What about?
But listen, you see how big her platform is. She talked about the fact that she was posting consistently on YouTube for a year before she ever saw any traction. Now, how many people would have posted on YouTube for a month, 2 months, maybe a quarter, and then stopped, right? It takes time to build traction. So if you're in that early stage, right, you're trying to get to, 5,000, 10,000 followers on IG or whatever, or your first 1,000 on YouTube. I'm still trying to get to my first 1,000 on YouTube. I just decided to get for real on there. My only goal right now is to be consistent. I'm live every Monday. And you know what? I don't care how many people watch. My marker, my checkbox, I showed up. Now, once I get past that stage and the numbers start to look different, sure, that measure of success is gonna look different. But for now, consistency is the marker, because one of the things that is a reality in our world is that you could go viral at any moment. And the reality is, the worst thing, you would not want to go viral and then someone come to your page and there's not bingeable content there for them to watch. Excuse me.
That's facts. Yeah, because like everybody wants to like get the thing, but then it's like, if you do go viral, what's next?
What's next? What do you have? Like, I've seen people who went viral and then like I went to their page and oh my God, I love the content. And now I'm buying the thing. And it wasn't just the viral moment got me here. But when I got here, you were already prepared to keep building authority with me and make me go, ooh, I need to continue to follow this person. And there's plenty of people who go viral. And then after that, crickets, because they were not prepared for that moment.
Do you care what platform people are using? Like initially, like is it like a MailChimp active campaign? Like, or do you try to lean people toward like, hey, just get started and start where you are, what you have, or is it more like, hey, if you're building this, if you're going to build big, let's get you on Salesforce and blah blah blah. Like, what's your methodology in terms of like what
Right.
platform people should lean into?
This is a great question. And so my very first thing I say is don't overthink it. That's number one. Because I see people who will waste 6 months on the platform and I'm like, you know how much money you can make? Like, what are we talking about? Right. So number one is don't overthink it. I think it also depends on like what's your capital, what budget do you have right now? Because sometimes I have people who are like newbies and just starting out, but they still have money, maybe from their job or whatever it is. And so on a platform like I use Kartra. Kartra is an all-in-one platform that has courses, emails, appointments, all the things. If they can afford that, I'll start them out there. Something that's comparable to that is like a go high level. If you can start with one of those, great. If you cannot, no worries. And I usually recommend that they start with MailChimp. MailChimp is something you can start for free. I've seen people build 6-figure businesses with MailChimp. Now, I feel bad talking against platforms, but one that I typically do not recommend is Constant Contact. I've been in this game for almost 20 years. And so I remember way back in the day using
Way
Constant
back.
Contact, literally like 15 years ago, right? I don't think that they have the features needed to really automate and build out what you truly need to really build a list and be tracking and doing all of that. And so I personally don't typically recommend that platform. Outside of that, there's so many different ones that you can use, and it really depends on your needs. I have courses and a membership and things like that, which is why I needed a Kartra. If you don't necessarily need all those features, you may be able to use something with a little bit less, but it really depends on your business structure, your features, and what you're going to need. But get as much in one place as you can, I would say.
Love it. Well, I've already asked you my last question like 4 times, so I'm done. So if you're just joining, first of all, BSN, thanks for the conversation. Tiffany, I really appreciate you being here. What do you want folks to do following this conversation?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been seeing a couple of comments. I love the go-getters. A couple of people are like, "Do you coach on this?" Well, shoot, can you help me with the messaging? So, I would say you can actually just go to my website, tiffanybethia.com. You can find out about one of my signature programs is called Iconic Brand. And so that is a 90-day accelerator where we really literally walk you through number one, who is your audience? Okay, cool. Number two, what are you saying to them? Great. Number three, where are you building authority? Let's really look at, this is when we do a full analysis of your digital platform, it's a digital audit. So we look at your website. I could do a whole thing on websites, but we ain't got time for that. But most websites I go on are pretty, but they're not profitable. They look nice, but the messaging is not enough to attract people. So we break that down. We go through, here's what it should say. Here's what you need to make this website make you more money. We go through your social media. What should your signature content look like, right? And then how do we get people from your social media to your email list? So we work on that specifically. Then we look at your offer. What are you selling? Does this make sense? Is it priced right? Is it packaged right? Does it make the most sense for your audience? And then the last thing that we do is look at how do you launch that? Okay, great. This book is great. This course is great. Whatever it is great. Now let's look at what you should systematically do to launch it This is where I specialize in those 5-figure launches. Like, okay, and maybe you're just starting out. Maybe it's not a 5-figure launch, but for somebody who's just starting out, what could a $5,000 launch look like? If you're not just starting out, what could that 20, 30, 40, $50,000 launch look like, right? So we walk through those 5 steps inside of that 90-day process. And if you want to learn more, you can just go to tiffanypathia.com and apply to get some more information. Yeah.
Awesome. Like, I love that. And reason why Tiffany's not going anywhere, she's been a BSN OG. She's part of the
I was at
Black
the first
Speaker.
meeting.
Yeah, you've been
I
around.
was at the first meeting.
First
Way
meeting.
back.
Yeah, the library. You know, we're bringing snacks. So Tiffany is part of our coaching community within Black Speakers Network. I think it's important. Not all coaches are created equal. And so I think one of the things that we really want to do on this platform is make sure that you have access to a variety of different, it's kind of like, we want you to have a variety of different access to different tools that you could pull out of your toolbox. But what I was thinking is, remember in Avengers how Hawkeye has those arrows? You can pull out a different arrow, and all his arrows do something different. Like one arrow is exploding, another arrow is like gum, another one is like repelling across the building. I feel like being a speaker is like that. You don't need, everybody doesn't need the same thing at the same time. So some of the people right now, there should be people in your inbox or on your website right now on this message, because on this webinar, because you obviously, this is where we need it. Some other people, you may need a very specific type of coach for a very specific deployment or application. So it all depends. But Tiffany, I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
We're definitely going to do some more topics in the future and kind of keep the conversation going. And to everyone that's joining us, whether now on a replay, thank you so much. Share this with somebody you think would be helpful. And as we see in BSN, keep speaking up because your audience awaits. And we will see y'all on stage. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye.